Hi, we're finishing up Ghost Boys. This will be our last Ghost Boys video. Today we're going to be reading the last 3 chapters, That Day, which is about the day that Jerome was shot, and then his last words to you and to the world. And then we're going to read the Afterwords, which are the last thoughts from Jewel Parker Rhodes, the author of Ghost Boys. So we'll be taking a look at pages 192 to 212. I'm also going to read those pages to you in class next week, so you'll get to hear them twice. When we left Jerome and Emmett, they were at his celebration, his Day of the Dead celebration that Carlos's family and his family were having for him in the cemetery. And Jerome says, I look around, I realize ghost boys, thousands of ghost boys, are trying to change the world. That's why we haven't said goodbye, why we aren't really gone. And he asks Emmett, who is it that you were able to see? Who was able to see you when you first died? And Emmett, who's very famous, was able to see a very famous person who was alive called Thurgood Marshall. And he was a justice on the Supreme Court, and he was African American. And he won lots of civil rights battles. So that is how Jewel Parker Rhodes wants to portray Emmett and the effect that he had on Thurgood Marshall. So here we are. This is the last time we're going to see Jerome alive. And the name of the chapter is That Day, and it's on page 195. Breathing free, cold air in, warm air out, my body dashes forward, back side to side. I'm running, dodging, fighting bad guys. Don't know who the bad guys are, just bad guys. Not thinking of anybody real, not Mike, Eddie, or Snap, not even thinking about Carlos. It's good being outside, playing in the streets. No one's going to touch or bother me. With a gun, I feel powerful. Like a first-person shooter in a video game. Except I'm inside the game. Feeling the rush of air, lungs aching, imagining I'm a good guy, a cop, better yet, a movie star playing a cop. A future agent slicing with laser beams, destroying aliens, zombies. I'm brave, bold. There, over there, I shout, a bad guy, pow. It's fun. Better than punching, clicking control buttons. It's dangerous, too, exciting. For once, real-time drug dealers might avoid me. Eddie, Mike, and Snap wouldn't dare to take me down. Christmas is coming. Green Acres isn't sad, it's green. An Adventureland. I shoot from behind trees, pow pow. I evade, track bad guys. There's a swamp to avoid, a stream I need to jump across. Pow! The bad guy is down. I sit, catch my breath. The gun dangles at my side. So right now that's on page 196, and Jerome is in a land of imagination in the park playing with the toy gun. My breath slows, energy drains. It's cold, but my body feels hot. I wish I was playing with Carlos. Then it would be a real game. And imagining, fun with a friend. By myself, I'm just faking it. Risking someone might think I'm a thug and wanting a real shootout. And if Eddie were here, despite him being a jerk, I don't think I could bully him. It wouldn't feel right. My family wouldn't like it. Time to go home. Movement. Out of the corner of my eye, I see it. A car cruising towards me. At me. Like it's going to jump the curb. I turn. I try to run away. Pow, pow. Brakes screech. I fall flat. Blood flows. Green acres dirt darkens. The snow turns red. I can't lift or turn my head. Shoes. Some run, walk toward me. People are gathering. Black boots, 2 sets, stand near my head. Sound has been sucked out of the world. I only hear my heart, hear blood pulsing out of me. Toy, I gurgle, stutter. My right hand opens and closes on air. I don't want to lose Carlos's gun. Pain slams me. 2 fire sticks are inside me, burning, searing my right shoulder and lower back. What happened? What happened to me? Call a doctor. Fix me. It's harder to breathe. Blood fills my lungs, throat. My heart beats, slowing, slower, slow. I want to see a face. Ma, have someone hold my hand. Grandma. I close my eyes and I feel my spirit rise. So that was Jerome's last day on Earth, the day when Officer Moore shot him from his police cruiser. The theme in this chapter is injustice and tragedy. Jerome explains, I turn, I try to run away. Pow, pow. Brakes screech. I fall flat. He's describing the exact moment when he was shot. And the reason that's such an injustice is that Officer Moore didn't say, stop, police, put your weapon down. He didn't even stop his police cruiser and get out of the cruiser. And his excuse at the trial was, a cruiser is a coffin, and that's why he feared for his life. And I think we all realize it was his prejudice that made him fear for his life, not the actual situation that was in front of him. The next chapter is called Dead. And these are his last words to us. It's a very short chapter. It's 1 page. Bear witness. My tale is told. Wake. Only the living can make the world better. Live and make it better. Don't let me or anyone else tell this tale again. Peace out, Ghost Boy. This last words, wake, only the living can make it better, is talking about how to bear witness. It's about bearing witness. And Jerome is asking all of us to bear witness. And I'd like you to think of ways that maybe you could do that in your own life. There's lots of ways, and we'll talk about some of them next week in class. Now I'm going to move on to the afterword. This is a very special chapter because Jewel Parker is talking as herself. This is no longer Jerome talking. This is our author talking to us. And this is what Jewel has to say to us. She says, during my lifetime, Emmett Till and countless other teens and young men have died because of conscious or unconscious racism. However, Tamir Rice's death at 12, like Emmett Till's death at 14, unnerved me because their deaths criminalized black boys as children. It is tragic when adults who are meant to protect children instead betray a child's innocence. One death impacts us all. This book includes the revised history of Emmett Till's interaction with Carolyn Bryant. For over 60 years, there have been claims, oral, written, some under oath, that Till had physically and verbally assaulted Miss Bryant. The suggestion was that Till invited his punishment. Timothy B. Tyson's book, The Blood of Emmett Till, corrects this distorted historical memory. Miss Bryant, who identified Till to his murderers, has now confessed at 82. Nothing that boy did could ever justify what happened to him. Till's death was based upon a lie. Mrs. Bryant, his accuser, hasn't been criminally charged. My hope is that parents and teachers will read Ghost Boys with their children and students and discuss racial prejudices and tensions that still haunt America. Through discussions, awareness, and societal and civic action, I hope our youth will be able to dismantle personal and systemic racism. My family has always celebrated and honored the dead. For me, it was important for Jerome and Carlos to have a friendship that extends beyond life. So too, I wanted to underscore that Grandma's and the Rodriguez's beliefs were interconnected. Throughout the world, honoring the dead is a cultural theme. Ancestor worship from various Mesopotamian tribes and cultures, particularly Aztecs, created the Day of the Dead holiday. More than 1 million African enslaved people lived in colonial Mexico, and their afterlife may have influenced the Day of the Dead rituals too. The Day of the Dead celebration begins at midnight on October 31st. Deceased children, angelitos, are allowed 24 hours for play with their families. The next day, adult spirits are honored. Catholicism, widespread in America and Mexico, celebrates November 1st as All Saints' Day, honoring saints, and November 2nd as All Souls' Day, honoring one's familial dead. The Day of the Dead celebrations emerged with Catholic traditions most likely in the 1500s. The Day of the Dead celebrates life, family connections, and reminds people to enjoy life. Families erect altars to their loved ones, filling them with their favorite drinks and foods. Tending grave sites and retelling stories about the dead are important aspects of honoring family memories and traditions. Believing that the dead are still present gave this novel even more urgency for me. I do believe that as a living person, I am obligated to honor and speak for those who can no longer speak for themselves. Bearing witness has long been crucial to African American communities, indeed to all ethnic groups who have suffered oppression. Bearing witness means using your personal and/or cultural story to testify against inequities, injustice, and suffering. To bear witness often includes personal trauma, such as Jerome's death, and subsequent experiences. Telling his story helps him cope with the pain, but it provides catharsis, which is emotional cleansing, which allows him to accept his death and his role as storyteller in the afterlife. Bearing witness, Jerome empowers Sarah and future others to fight against racial bias and discrimination. As an artist, I bear witness and hope to empower readers to make the world better. My hope is that Ghost Boys prompts meaningful change for all youth. Since Ghost Boys has been published in April 2018, I have had the honor of meeting youth who now feel empowered more than ever to fight discrimination and bias. Boys as young as 6 and as old as 16, even a 26-year-old father thanked me for expressing love and remembrance of America's Ghost Boys. Everyone has appreciated the historical context of Emmett Till's murder in 1955. One middle schooler said poignantly, "You mean it isn't me? This is a pattern?" The implication that this youngster had somehow internalized that he was the problem nearly broke my heart. His sense of self, his sense of racial and ethnic heritage had been distorted by explicit and implicit racism. No, there's nothing wrong with you. You are unique and beautiful. American slavery, which relied on race to demean, persecute, and own people, was the first wounding. There is still more work to do to undo this damning legacy. Jerome says, "Only the living can make the world better. Live and make it better." I've asked students in classrooms and auditorium, "Who's living?" Everyone raises their hands. So, what are you going to do? "Live and make it better," they roar. Children are powerful. They are going to change our world for the better and make it more just and inclusive. I believe this because I've been blessed to see their faces and feel their passion. I'm also grateful to the teachers and librarians who are nurturing the next generation and educating them about equity and social justice. You are all heroes bearing witness to our common humanity. And that is the end of Ghost Boys. I hope that you enjoyed listening to the reading and all the work that we've been doing in class, talking about this very engaging story and all the issues that have come up around it. I hope that we can all bear witness in some way, and I'm looking forward to coming back to school this week and hearing from you about how you think you might be able to bear witness to the injustices that are happening around our world currently. The questions for this week on the response to text are: what was Jerome doing right before he was shot? Well, we know that he was with Carlos's gun and in an imaginary land where he was powerful and shooting bad guys. And he was actually having a lot of fun right before he was shot. And who does Jerome want to see right before he dies? Well, for me, that was one of the saddest lines in the entire book. He wants to see his mother's face, and he wants to hold his grandmother's hand. And the third question is, Jerome's last words are, "Wake. Only the living can make the world better. Live and make it better. Don't let me or anyone else tell this tale again." What does Jerome want the readers to do? He wants you to bear witness, and then he actually is asking you to take some type of action. Maybe that's educate yourself more. Maybe that's go onto websites and learn about how you can fight against racism and social injustice. Maybe that's talking to a friend and asking them about their ideas, or just participating in a class discussion and really engaging your mind in these topics and these ideas. And for all the adults that are 18 and over, it might involve going and voting and thinking about how they want the society to be in the future. The next question, number 4, is what does the author, Jewel Parker Rhodes, hope will happen in the future? I think she hopes very much the same things that Jerome hopes, that her book will inspire young readers to take action and inspire adults to possibly change their hearts and learn more about civil rights and what they can do to help make the world a better place. And the final response to text question is, what are some ways that your generation can make the world a better place? And how will you make the world a better place? Well, I know many of us wrote a letter to have the Black Lives Matter flag fly in our district, and it is. So writing letters to the school board and doing things locally, I think for us, is the best way that we can help make these changes. Letting our voices be heard and having our friends at school know that we're here and that we matter and that racism is not going to be tolerated at Colchester High School or in Colchester community. So I thank you very much again. That's the end of Ghost Boys, and I'll see you this week at school.